up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to the first episode of the
Ordained Love podcast.
All right. Why you trying to sound like Billy D. Williams or somebody? I mean, not that people would know who Billy D. Williams is. Was it Denzel is the was the Billy D of the 90s, and now like I don't know.
Yeah,
What's
voice wise, I don't know. What's the dude from Creed? He might be it.
Adonis?
Mm-hmm.
The guy with the body of a
Excuse me.
Greek god.
Excuse me.
What's that boy's name? I don't know. I forget actually. But I can see his face though. Oh, Jordan. Michael B. Jordan. Praise his high name. Thank you,
Who
Lord.
praises Michael B. Jordan's high name?
Michael B. Jordan don't got no high name. The only high name is in this house is Jesus.
I was thinking about the other guy, the guy that played Cain.
Kang.
Yeah.
His name is Majors something. Majors.
Yeah,
I don't know. But anyway, they have nothing to do with
like him.
They have okay. They have nothing to do with Ordained Love podcast. We want to welcome everybody to the Ordained Love podcast. This is episode 1. Yay!
Yeah.
And so I am just so delighted to get this kicked off. This is something that we've been working on for years, and then we stepped away from it for a while, but now we are ready to get ourselves out there, put ourselves out there, and give the world a our point of view or our view of marriage through the lens of a Christian and biblical perspective. What do you want to tell the audience about the podcast?
Well, it's definitely going to be exciting in a sense of we're going to not only pull and pick at some stuff that, culturally we might find different. Culturally we might find like it's the norm. However, especially in the context of Christianity, some, how do I say it? Some thoughts or ideas that were considered either taboo or this is how Christians are when it comes to marriage.
Mhm.
We're going to basically debunk some of these things and really show in God's view and God's viewpoint and his perspective, how marriage really looks. And again, like you said earlier, it is kind of our perspective in a sense. The nuances of marriage is going to be different for every married couple.
Mhm.
However, there are some things that, culturally we've taken on, even in Christendom, that is, we're going to try to ask some probing questions and kind of explore those a little bit.
And I think that marriage has certainly, well, first of all, before we even get into that, let's tell the people who we are and why they should be listening to what we have to say.
Well, hopefully they looked at the description,
right? But I mean, it's still good to, we want our listeners to know who we are. I'm Yvonne.
And I am Nate.
And we are the Belchers.
Mm-hmm.
We have been married for 11 years next month. And we have been together for 13.
Mm-hmm.
We met each other. I guess that's a great place to start with our journey. Like before we get all up in other people's business, maybe we should let them in ours. We met in 2009?
Mm-hmm.
2009. We were actually just running in some of the same circles. Nate, you were hosting at that time a weekly or monthly, party spot for young Christians, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember having a friend at the time, and she kept saying like, "Oh, come with me to the Christian club," and I was like, "Girl." I was deep, y'all, back in the early in the early 2000s. I was deep, and so my view was like Christian and club, like God already took me out of the club. I ain't trying to go back to the club just because you slap Christian on it. Like, it was losers in the clubs in the regular clubs, and I'm sure there are some losers at the Christian club, but I just didn't want to be bothered. But after months of asking, my friend finally convinced me to go to this Christian club. And what was the name of it, Nate?
U-Turn. Yes, Club U-Turn. Yeah, why are you giggling? It does sound a little corny.
It sounds so
But I mean,
Club U-turn.
but back
You come on and turn away from the world. Turn away from the world's way of doing things and do the world's way. Jesus, do the world, the things of the world, Jesus's way.
Back in
Oh
2005,
God, that's
6, 7,
hilarious.
and 8, that was hot. That was popular.
Well, we met at club. I met you at club. No, actually, I didn't meet you at Club U-turn. I met you at another event that was like a battle of the genders. It was like a fellowship of young adults, and it was kind of like males versus females and discussion and all that. That's where I actually met you, where you were doing some of your music there. And then I saw you again at the Christian club with my friend, and so that's how we kind of got to know each other.
Yep, that's pretty much it. And we remained friends after we kind of linked up. Did some ministry stuff for you at your church, and we just became friends. And one thing led to another.
That's how you gonna put it out there?
Well, this is our first episode.
Nate ain't about to tell y'all the truth. Let me tell y'all the truth about what happened.
We got plenty of time to explore all the intricacies.
Let me tell y'all about the truth of what happened, right? So we were friends. That part Nate did tell accurately. We were friends and we hung out. And for me, you were like more of a safe place. As a young Christian, a woman who was trying to live a Christian lifestyle or a saved lifestyle, whatever you want to call it, I just was like, I wasn't playing the radio. Like I really didn't. I did all of that, before I really got serious about my walk with God, dating guys, in and out of relationships and all of the drama. And so I just wasn't for it. And so you, to me, were like that safe friend, that guy I could kind of hang out with and have a good time with.
In other words, I was very prude, and she could notice that. Really, I was very.
I just felt like you was a safe place. I don't know what prude means. Nate is the educator of this relationship. I'm not a teacher, although I am in a lot of ways, but I don't know what prude means. Y'all can look it up. But but
that means that you're not handsy. You don't flirt.
Oh yeah, no. You was not. No, you were not prude. I was prude.
You wouldn't give it up for nothing.
I was the prude one. Nate was trying to get me to be unprude. and so I remember there was this one night in the park, and I was just impressed with you. I was so impressed with, on seriously, you never really made any advances. You were just a great friend, and I never had to worry about, is this guy going to try to push up on me? I never felt uncomfortable around you. Like being with you was like as easy as breathing. And we talked about everything.
Yeah.
Like we would talk for hours. And I remember one time we talked on the phone from like 8:00 at night till the sun came up. And then when the sun came up, we went to the coffee and went to, get coffee on the intercoastal,
Mm-hmm.
And so we were just so comfortable with each other. And I remember there was this one night in the park where I was telling you like, yeah, Nate, I'm just so grateful that God put you in my life. You really have restored my faith in guys and in men, and that, not all men are crap. That's how I was. I was like, all men are crap. And I was telling Nate, I was like, you really restored my faith in the fact that God still has some good ones out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm so grateful that you're my friend. And you was like, skirt.
Yeah, I had to stop that real quick. When they say God works in mysterious ways, it's not scriptural, but it probably should be scriptural, because he did work in mysterious ways. And just before we had that conversation, I watched a movie called The Friend Zone. And the dude, he was friends with this girl all growing up, elementary school, middle school. They were neighbors. They hung out, but he was always stuck in the friend zone, no matter how attractive that he found her, and he had to find a way to get out of the friend zone. So I was like, As soon as you said that, I'm like, oh, she trying to stick me in the friend zone. So the Lord gave me a little boost of courage to be like, nah, man, you're gonna have to make your move either now or never.
I know that's right, because it sure wasn't coming from my end. I was good just going and having fun, y'all. I was not trying to be in a relationship. But anyway, that's how our relationship romantically started. It really started as a genuine friendship. And I ain't talking about no, we was friends for 2 weeks. Like, we were kind of hanging for on and off for like months, I
Sure.
think, before we even noticed, each other in that way. And so that was, that was the beginning of our relationship as a couple. I was like, oh snap, after 7 years of being single, I think I got a man. And so it was nice, it was sweet. We dated for a year, and that was like being on a cloud. You guys, Nate was like the perfect boyfriend, okay? Like the perfect boyfriend. He even took in my little family dog that nobody wanted.
Yeah.
When my parents moved away, they could take the dog. Nate took the dog in. He was the perfect boyfriend. My families loved him. I grew to love him and really care deeply for him. And so we dated for a year. We were engaged for a year while we planned our wedding. And then in 2012, we got married. 2016, we had our first child, and he's our only child to date. Hopefully God will change that one day. And we'll share more about that journey with you guys in later episodes, I'm sure. But that's where we are. 11 years later, we've been through a lot. And we've been through everything. We've been, unfortunately, premature death of loved ones. We've been through financial situations. We've been through learning that communication curve, right? Because I was single for 7 years. You were single since like high school. And when we did get together, and we waited. Like, we didn't have sex before marriage, right? So everything was like this beautiful cloud, and then it comes the point of the marriage where that cloud kind of settles back down to earth. For us, I think it was like 3-5 years, maybe 3 years. The first
but
3
even
years.
in that, there was a lot of learning as far as how to communicate, with one another and all of that.
Yeah. So we actually learned, had those learning curves of how to communicate with each other and how to make room for each other, because like I said, I'm single for 7 years at that point. You are single for, probably 10 plus, years. And so coming into a marriage, where you're living with this person, we didn't have sex, we didn't cohabitate before marriage. That's not everybody's testimony, and we recognize that, and that's your business, in the in the words of Tabitha Brown. But we did go through those situations of having to learn, to make room for one another. And so that's a little bit of our story. And so this is where we are right now. 11 years in, we have one child. He's 7 years old. And so we just felt that it was time to share all of the things that we've learned, in our 11 years or 13 years of being together. We've collected a lot of wisdom. I think personally, we've learned not just from our own experience, but one thing that I really appreciated about our marriage is that because we didn't sleep with each other until after we were married, we had the opportunity to learn a lot of wisdom and glean a lot of wisdom from couples around us, older, younger, newlyweds. Like, we soaked in so much wisdom and information that when we did get married, we came into the marriage kind of equipped,
Right.
So it kind of put us light years, ahead. I'm all for learning from the mistakes and the wisdom of other people, because if you can give me what it took you 10 years to learn, if you can condense that for me and give it to me, it saves me those 10 years,
Right.
And what it took you 10 years to learn, I can come into my marriage practicing and implementing.
Yeah, that's an episode in all in itself. a lot of the times when people get into relationships, they're so focused on the cloud and the what, oh, this is what I feel when I'm with you. And you may talk marriage, but everything that you talk, or you may talk family, but all of the things that you're talking about is
Is
desires.
ideal.
Ideal,
Right. You're
right?
speaking from
So
the
what
ideal
would it be?
perspective.
How do you want to do this? How do you want to do that? But then there is some parts where you have to really glean, okay, from the experience of others, and glean what does it look like to go through different trials and different situations. I think we took it like as in, not just as, oh yeah, this love embarking, but we
Mhm.
saw it as, no, this is a coming together of two people.
Mhm.
And we made it academic. We did our research, if you will,
Mhm.
to really find out. So yeah, I believe that we came into the marriage as well equipped and ready for some challenges. I mean, you're never ready until you really get in the water and start swimming. But I think we knew a lot how to navigate the waters, because of a lot of things that we learned from all of the experience that we soaked in.
So for today's topic, I want to jump into like what is ordained love. I mean, we obviously want our listeners to know a little bit about us and why we started this podcast. I think one of the reasons why I feel like this podcast is important is because of what you said earlier, and that leads us to our topic today. What is ordained love? Right? What is ordained love? A lot of people use the term soulmate, right? Some people don't believe in soulmate. I've heard people say, well, soulmates can't be real, because if your soulmate is just like some random person on the earth that's meant for you, what if you're in California and then your soulmate is in Japan?
Mm-hmm.
Then how is that person really truly your soulmate? And so while I don't really ascribe to soulmates. I think I ascribe more to soul ties, and we'll cover that in a later episode. But I really ascribe to the concept of ordained love. I feel like God does not choose our spouse. There are people who will argue with me and say, God sent me my husband. I don't think God is going to put himself on the line for your relationship, because so many people say, oh, God sent this person to me. And then that person comes in your life and wreck it. And then you want to blame God. No, I think God is smarter than that. I think God presents people to us, and within the context of how he has ordained love in the marital sense to be carried out, to look and to function, that he ordains love in that way. He ordains marriage in that way, but he doesn't pick your spouse for you. He only ordains the construct or the structure of how you and that person should relate to each other in a marital relationship. And that for me is the definition of ordained love. What did God intend from the beginning
Mm-hmm.
for my relationship with Nate to look like?
Mm-hmm.
Not that God forced Nate on me. I chose Nate as a partner, as a life partner, with all his beautiful, wonderful, sexy, and attractive qualities, as well as all his unattractive and unhealthy and underdeveloped qualities. I chose you
Mm-hmm.
to be with you. And so if I choose also to love you under God's construct of ordained love, right? Then our marriage may not be easy. It will not be perfect, but we will make it. We will
Mm-hmm.
be able to see it all the way through to the finish line. So, what does ordained love mean to you? What do you?
Ordained love is when, because you have that, because usually when we think about marriage, we think about marriage as the two people, is the wife and the husband, right? The two people come in one. But there's that one person that we have to include, and that is God. And in the context of a Christian biblical marriage, it's true. But I even want to extend it beyond that. I don't think, just me browsing, I don't think that there's any other construct that is as solid as the way that God intended it. And that's one of the things that we're really going to explore as we continue in this podcast. Is with this, we don't have necessarily an agenda against anything. Matter of fact, what we would like to do is wipe the slate clean and then start from the beginning. And how does an ordained marriage in the eyes of God really look? You know, and
Right.
and can it thrive? What can it, well, we want to be able to explore that. And so ordained love to me is simply that, the two becoming one, and God is the orchestrator and the choreographer of both of those, of the whole thing.
Right, right. So yeah, I agree with you. Ordained love isn't about God choosing and finding your spouse for you and making you fall in love. Like God's not, he's not a weirdo like that. Like he's not some, I don't know, genie, or he's not some mystical creature or figure that forces us to do what he wants us to do, right? I believe that, like you said, ordained love is simply two people coming together under an ordained construct of biblical marriage, and what that looks like, and what does it mean to include God. Put not only include him, but really put him first.
Right. Start
Right,
there.
start there
Yeah.
with him. In some couples, some couples get married, they're not saved, they don't have a context for Christian living or whatever, and then they come into faith. I think their love you can still enter into ordained love, because ordained love is not about the two people. Ordained love is about the covering and the construct and the framework by which we love each other, and that all starts with God.
And I think at the end, I think that's our goal here with ordained love, is not to just paint a picture, but really we want to see thriving relationships. And so no matter where we find ourselves in that, in that journey, if the fact that there's hope for a future and a long-lasting marriage, we have to believe that wherever we find ourselves, however we started, we can end well.
And that brings me to the larger, the broader conversation, that ordained love is not just limited to marriages. Right? Because God creates a framework on how I should love my brother, how I should love my mom, how I should love my child.
Sure.
God creates a framework on how I should love the chick at work who I want to just bust in her face. Like God creates a framework for how we should do relationships with people. I think on this platform, we start with the marriage relationship because we married, right? But that ordained love is not limited to the person that you sleep with every night. Ordained love, it can cover a myriad of topics within the relationships construct. Right.
And just to encompass the whole thing, or it doesn't even start with marriage and then launches out. It really starts with you. If you don't love your own self, or don't know how can you really exercise that with someone else? So I agree. The ordained love is all encompassing, and I'm so excited to go through the journey of this podcast and the different episodes and the things that we'll be talking about.
Absolutely. So guys, we're going to wrap up this episode. We thank you guys for tuning in to our first episode. We got to get some Sorry, y'all. Forgive us. We going to get better
it's the first one.
as the old saints used to say, we going to get better by and by, babies. We going to get better by and by. So yeah, guys, thanks so much for rocking with us on this first episode. Be sure to check us out as the podcast grows. We will definitely be featured on different streaming platforms. So we'll definitely let you guys know where you can check us out and how you can stay connected. Link up with us. Let us know what y'all think about our first episode and future episodes. Follow us on all of the social pages, our social presence, Facebook at Ordained Love, IG at Ordained Love, and we'll definitely keep the content coming for you guys. in the days to come. So once again, this is Yvonne.
And this is Nate.
And we are Ordained
Ordained
Love.
Loves.
See you guys next time.